First, before we get started, I would like to extend a very special welcome to Andy Lowe, who's joining us today virtually. As he joins us tonight in his new role as Superintendent of Business Services and Treasurers. Congratulations and welcome, Andy. We look forward to working with you over the next many years. And also, before we get started, I'd like to just acknowledge Director Wilder and Superintendent Lowe. I feel like this is very loud. Are joining us virtually tonight as they are attending the CEO-CFO meetings in Toronto with all the other directors and business superintendents in Ontario. So that's why they are there. And you will note we have Trustee Morgan, Trustee Kaikkonen, Trustee McComb, Trustee Long will be joining us, I believe, and Trustee Ritchie will be joining us virtually. And it is a little more complicated to keep track of it all with a few here and a few there, so we will do our very best. And I'd just also like to say we have a really lovely agenda with a guest with us tonight to share an activity, so we're looking forward to that. We acknowledge that we're meeting on the traditional land of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which is represented by the communities of Saugeen First Nation and the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation. We also think of the Métis Nation of Ontario, whose history and people are well represented in Bruce and Grey counties. For our moment of reflection tonight, as we near the midpoint of the school year, these are busy times in Blue Water District School Board. Tomorrow, January 24th, is the International Day of Education. We think about how we are uniquely positioned as trustees, students, and staff to make a difference through the power of education. Mental health, wellness, and reducing stigma will also be an important focal point tomorrow with the annual return of Bell Let's Talk campaign. As in the past, many of our schools and work sites will be promoting mental health awareness through engaging activities and opportunities for dialogue amongst students and staff. And I would be remiss if I did not mention exams and culminating assessments that are occurring in secondary schools this week as the first semester draws to a close. For our moment of reflection, I would like to extend our positive thoughts to our secondary students as they transition to a new semester. Thank you for being here tonight. I know it's a busy time for you. With this week's focus on mental health, we wish them plenty of rest, a clear and resilient mind, and kindness towards themselves and each other. We also share with them our encouragement and belief that they can achieve great things. So the approval of the agenda, I would like a mover and a seconder that the agenda for the regular meeting of the board of January 23, 2024 be approved as printed. Trustee Lutz, Trustee Craig. All in favor? Trustee Morgan, I can't see you.
Can you see me?
No.
Oh. The camera's on. I'll try again.
Trustee Kaikkonen, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I made 2 written requests for items to be included on the agenda. So I'm wondering if we can amend the agenda to add those items.
It is to add a request. Business is not typically added to a board meeting. New business can be added to a committee of the whole board meeting.
So you're saying my written request to have 2 written requests to have items added to this agenda is not going to be accepted because it's not a committee of the whole. Is that right?
Your one request about communication is just a policy and procedure activity that we do through our board. And the other request for the, your motions will be dealt with through this agenda.
At what point will it be dealt with?
I assume you'll be asking at business arising and we'll discuss it then. So all in favor of the agenda as printed, moved by trustee Lou, seconded by trustee Craig. Trustee McComb, do you have your hand up? I already missed it. Thank you. Trustee Morgan, we still can't see you. Thank you, yourself. That's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on our agenda this evening? Thank you, trustee Morgan. I see none. Or do you have pecuniary interest?
Sorry, I hadn't taken my hand down.
Thank you. You'll have to speak up or make sure you put your hand up because we can't see you. Trustee Morgan.
I beg your pardon?
We can't see you, so I'll just need you to raise your hand like you did. If
I will. Thank you. I don't know why it's not working.
did you try leaving and coming back? Okay, anyway, you'll just have to help us along, okay? So the approval of the regular meeting of the board minutes of December 19th. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? The Atkinson, trustee Lutz. All in favor? Are there any arrows or omission? I see none and all in favor. Thank you, that is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Trustee Kaikkonen.
I have a number of items here. The first one is regarding trustee Craig's motion on the proliferation of gambling advertising. That is who exactly are the intended recipients. Apparently, on trustee Craig's notice of a motion in his email dated December 4th, 2023, he listed 8 specific government officials that should receive the board approved letter, but that isn't actually what happened. So I asked the same question from the Blue Water Communications Officer, and he was struggling with the same issue with interpretation. So for clarity, the motion read that Blue Water District School Board send a letter to local MPs, MPPs, and provincial and federal political leaders to advocate that legislation be enacted to ban advertising for gambling in all media. It was sent to the PMO, and we did get a response from the PMO, sending it to somebody else, and the Premier and our local representative, but not even to Education Minister Lecce, or any of the other provincial or federal leaders. So I believe there needs to be some clarification around the interpretation of the motion and who it was exactly to be sent to. That's my first. The second is, I note in the December 19th, 2023 minutes.
Can we stop there and deal with the first one, please?
Okay.
First, I'd like to say it is our responsibility as a board of trustees to be very clear at the time we're passing a motion as to who we want it to go to. It is not appropriate or fair to have our communications officer have to try and figure out what we were trying to say. So if something was missed, that's our responsibility as a board of trustees. And we need to be clear about that as we move forward with any motion. I would suggest that any trustee bringing a motion forward, spell out very clearly who they would like that to go to. And so that there is no confusion when it goes to be actioned. And Minister Lecce was not included in our conversation.
But it, what
Trustee
was it?
Craig.
All that's correct. But there was in fact confusion while that motion was being debated as to who it should be directed to. And if I'm not mistaken, even Crystal was a little uncertain as to what our final intent was. And it's true, the minister was not mentioned as a possibility, but I think it was intended that the other federal leaders would receive. But that didn't actually get translated into the minutes as far as I can see. So there was a bit of confusion, and I still don't quite understand why we would have neglected to send it to the other party leaders.
And so again, I would say as a moving forward, let's be very mindful when we are putting a motion forward where we want it to go. And because it's our work that is going forward, it's not up to our staff to interpret what we were thinking. Trustee Green.
Yes, of course. What I'm pointing to was that the confusion and the uncertainty came about because of the debate that we had, and there was some changing of the intent with regard to who the motion should go to. So I think we did create a bit of confusion there. I think it would be best, rather than just throwing up our hands, best if we actually clarify it now and make sure that it is in fact directed to those other federal leaders.
So if I may speak, Madam Chair, the motion does.
So I'm speaking, this is the first time I'm speaking to this. Is that there was a motion that was wrote, that was presented to the board. And so it's going directly from the motion, right? Who it was supposed to go to. I believe that when there was a conversation about this motion, that it really was being directed at the federal level. Is that correct? I just want some clarification. So that's why Lecce wasn't included.
That is correct. It was intended for the federal level, although one is well aware that a lot of the authority around that issue is provincial.
So all I'm saying is that if it was during the work that we were doing as trustees, when we eventually voted, that needs to be clear. And then, so now this is after the fact. So are you, so the motion's been dealt with. I think that's exactly it. That's what the chair is saying, is that going forward, we need to be very clear in our intent.
I was going to leave it at that.
Trustee Icon.
The motion is clear. I just read it to you. The Blue Water District School Board send a letter to local MPs, MPPs, and provincial and federal political leaders to advocate that legislation be enacted to ban advertising for gambling in all media. The motion is very clear. It's all local MPs, or two local MPs, MPPs, and provincial and federal political leaders. So the motion is clear. It isn't in the motion that's the problem. The problem is in how it was actually interpreted going forward. So can we spin back a bit here and do what the motion has asked for, in that ensuring our local MPs and MPPs get the motion that we have passed, and also the provincial and federal political leaders. That's all of them.
everybody.
I believe that this went to our local MPs, so that part was done. I think if I'm hearing correctly, what you would like is for this to go to the federal political leaders of the opposition parties as an addition. Is everyone in agreement that we add this letter to the leaders of the federal political parties, the leaders, not all? Trustee Lutz?
I have a question on that. If we were to do this, like how much, like is everything we ask for friends involves someone's time and energy and work time, like. I know we can't guess how much time, but is this is something that's already been done? Does it make, is it appropriate to ask for staff to put more time into this? I guess that's what I'm. Just want to bring up the cost, the person hours cost associated.
I would assume because the letter is written and because it's been formatted to go, it would be sending that by email to the leaders of the Liberal.
The Liberal, NDP and Bloc.
Conservative.
I can just add. And that would therefore require really quite minimal additional work.
Here,
The format you're sending has already been established.
I just wanted to.
Got us to providing you with the information. So there's a federal leaders, the Liberal, NDP, and Bloc. That's it. That's it.
I might just add, just for everyone's information, that the reason the focus was from the campaign to bad and ads for gambling, the focus is on the federal level is because there is a piece of legislation in the Senate right now, which they are very much hoping will make its way to the House of Commons and get some action. So that's, and the focus there to some degree is on the power of the CRTC to make the required changes.
Thank you. Trustee Kokonen, you had a second question?
Yes, and I'm going to say thanks for including in the December 19th to 23 minutes, the land acknowledgement and reflection. It's been acknowledged in the minutes. However, neither of these are included still in our trustee agenda package. I've noted before that trustees have no idea what's going to be said, and we are never afforded any opportunities to provide input. So as duly elected trustees, we're not privy to who is responsible for writing the land acknowledgement and the reflection or the reflection, nor are we given an opportunity to add our input. Most concerning is the emphasis placed on traditions and safe and happy holidays without any acknowledgement of the government ordained statutory holiday recognized as Christmas, or for that matter, Hanukkah, which began on December 7th and ended on December 15th, 2023. So I would like to see this, all of the things after the call to order included in our trustee package. I believe that's what we should be doing, and we're still not doing that.
I believe all trustees were provided with the land acknowledgement, and we've had a conversation at this table in the past of how that land acknowledgement was established in the first place. We've had that conversation and we've shared that information. You had another question about the agenda or the minutes.
I would just like to follow up on that comment. If it's included in our package, we are aware of what is being said beforehand, and we can comment on that, what is being said. We are not being given that information in our packages. My next one is, again, the chair stated the receipt of NOLs, notice of liabilities from the parents, would never be included in the minutes. And that comment was justified by suggesting the notice of liabilities were distributed to the trustees after the meeting. So therefore it doesn't need to be included, but it was raised.
Our minutes, trustee.
But it was raised under the business arising from the minutes. So it should be included in the minutes because the discussion was part of the meeting. Would you like me to continue?
If you have a question about the minutes, yes.
Yes, the question is, we're still not including the notice of liabilities from the parents in our minutes at any point. Would you like me to continue to the next one?
Yes, we've already said, we're not including it.
The director's annual report 223, I would like it noted that the trustees around the board table were excluded from providing input or approving the contents of the director's report prior to dissemination. Given the director is an employee of this board, I believe this is an important oversight that needs to be addressed, that when these things are going to be disseminated on behalf of the board, that the board of trustees, each and every one of us, has an opportunity for input and to approve or
I
suggest.
would like to speak to that. That is not our report. It is the director's annual report. It is a legislative requirement that the directors provide. We received that report for information. And that we have no place to have input into that. That is the director's report. It was received as information and voted on by this group. And we are done with that agenda item.
As the employer, which the board of trustees is, we should have some understanding of what is going out on behalf of the employer, being the board. My next
I
point.
would interrupt to say the report reflects the reports that we have had all year long from the director and our senior team. You have had opportunity all year to ask questions about what was included in that report. And then it was included as a summary in the director's annual report.
My next point, under D2 and D3, the director trustee conferences, conventions, out of district meetings, it says the minute states that were no updates provided. I would like it noted that once again, there was an update under trustee privilege that was directly tied to education and the government's response to COVID, including the board's response to COVID, and how students were damaged by the decisions that were put in place or established by the board. But my microphone was once again turned off. So my point is this: to suggest trustees had nothing to contribute in the minutes and that we'd had no comments made is quite telling, but not in a good way. That's it for me.
Any other business arising? I see none. We have excellence in education. I would like to invite Superintendent of Education, Lefebvre, to speak to this report. And while he's coming, I'm looking for a mover and a seconder that the Blue Water District School Board receive the Nuclear Innovation Institute partnership with Blue Water District School Board for information. Trustee Lutz and Trustee Johnstone, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Chair, and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for being here tonight. I have the privilege of introducing someone who is very important to us in Blue Water here, has worked really closely with a number of our educators and with a number of our administrators. Hold on, my video's starting and I've got to stop it and I've got to share. Hold on. Share. Hopefully my volume is up now. Start with a little video. Oh, hold on. My apologies. So let's start with a little video. This is teacher Adriana Wilson. from a grade 6 teacher from Washington District Community School. And she's sharing a little bit about how she has worked with Nuclear Innovation Institute and NII Explore. In particular, Philip Craig, who is sitting in our audience today, who's going to be coming up right after this video to showcase a little bit for you what they have been doing in conjunction with Blue Water District School Board to teach some very exciting STEM and STEAM related activities to our students.
So back in 2021, Philip came with his book, Passing Gas, which was great. And he actually did a whole day author session with different blocks, 40-minute blocks, reading to all different level students, I believe grade 2 all the way to grade 8, speaking at their level about what the book was all about, which includes talking about nuclear energy and clean energy and what that looks like, climate change. It was awesome. He really tailored it to each class. So, you know, the grade 2s were learning about, oh, okay, what is clean energy, all the way up to more advanced topics with the grade 8s. So that was fantastic. Next, I think my next experience with the Nuclear Innovation Institute would have been the Electrifying Energy Workshop, which is tailored directly to the grade 6 curriculum. They come in, the workshop presenters come in with kits. So each group of students gets a kit. They get to actually build circuits. They are doing hands-on learning. They're doing all different group work. It was fantastic. The kids responded so well to it. And at the end of it, they felt like they had really understood electricity and how electricity worked. Then we brought into, okay, well, how is it generated? And obviously talked about nuclear generation as well and how that plays into it. We also had been very fortunate here. We've done some coding work with the Nuclear Innovation Institute as well. So I have been a part of some in-class sessions where it was virtual, 4 sessions, or maybe 5 sessions. They would take you right through from basic coding, every student having their own laptop in the classroom, and then interacting with the virtual presenter, right all the way through advanced coding using the Scratch program. It was fantastic. The presenter had a real keen ability to interact with the students, even though she was virtual and my students were on their own laptops, to troubleshoot, to work through all those problems. That was fantastic. And they actually published a book as well. So this was dropped off by the Nuclear Innovation Institute. Every school got one, and it actually takes you through the entire coding. It's all leveled by grade. So grade 2 all the way to grade 8. It's got all the coding stuff in there you need. So for when you can't have a virtual session, you can actually do it yourself. So this is a very handy resource used lots in our school. We were also very fortunate to have a codeathon this year where one of the Nuclear Innovation Institute employees came in and he did a full day workshop. So 40-minute periods, you signed up your class, and he did some hands-on coding. So it was building, it was talking about how sequencing works and how coding looks like using blocks, which was awesome because it really took that hands-on experience, the blocks that the kids were actually building with, and then you could translate it right into the Scratch coding program. So it was a really nice foundation for the students to build off of. So we have been so fortunate here at Washington District to work with the Nuclear Innovation Institute and Philip Craig, and it's been fantastic because they come in, it's hands-on, the presenters are awesome. They're very, very well trained in working with kids, and they relate.
Okay, I don't know if you get a better introduction than that. So every time she mentions Nuclear Innovation Institute, you can kind of substitute NII Explore, because Philip is the head of NII Explore, the Nuclear Innovation Institute arm that really does this outreach and everything. And I'm so happy working with their CEO and as well as Philip. They've really taken, when I talked to them a few years ago and Wendy talked to them as well, about we really wanted to focus to be on building capacity within our educators and within the system. So Philip doesn't just come in and teach something and entertain the kids, because he is very entertaining. So I'm putting a lot on him. But he will also help the educators and provide them with resources so that when he leaves, they can keep going. And for that, I'm very thankful. I'm so happy that we have Philip with NII Explore, and he's going to take over right now, share a little bit about NI Explore, and he's got an activity for us, Tim. Coming up.
Oh, no, I wasn't really good with it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am incredibly proud to be standing here today because I'm standing here as a former student, a former student trustee, a former teacher, and now after getting my master's, the director of the NII Explore program, which yeah, I'm just so thrilled that I could be here today. What is NII Explore, and kind of more importantly, the Nuclear Innovation Institute more broadly? I'm so glad you asked. Second here, perfect. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so NII Explore, we are part of the Nuclear Innovation Institute. Now, the Nuclear Innovation Institute is an independent, non-for-profit organization that helps with the innovation in the nuclear industry. So it's talking about how the nuclear industry can shift to a low carbon future. And we do that in kind of three ways. We have our industry arm, we have our industry arm, we have our public policy arm, and then we have NII Explore, which is a registered charity, and we do STEM education. We try to do things differently. We really try to branch out, and a good example of that is actually what Adriana was talking about with the coding binder. Now, if you guys thought you were going to be listening today, you thought wrong. Okay, I apologize to everyone who's virtual because you're going to miss out on this. But everyone sitting in the room in front of you, you should have 3 wooden blocks and a white cutter. All right. And we are going to be demonstrating a grade 5 coding lesson. So, right now,
I've got a couple of students to demonstrate.
Get Trinity and Lexi up there. That would be amazing. Trinity and Lexi, so much good. All right, so they're gonna come up here. And if you don't know, a conditional statement is a coding term. And essentially just means this. Oh, you guys can stay apart, just stay there. You're good. It's like if it's snowing, then wear boots. And if it's not, else wear shoes. It's really, really simple. Okay. Now this is in grade 5. You in the curriculum, it starts talking about how computers can actually start kind of making decisions on their own. So this is what we're going to do. Trinity, can you just stand right there? Lexi, can you stand right there? Excellent. Now we're going to just ignore what's on the card for the moment. We're going to go like this. So Trinity, okay, your card is Lexi, your card is this. If your opponent has a pet, then she take this, like it says. Okay. Okay. Does she have a pet? That's right. We're gonna get to know each other. Okay. All right. And then Lexi is going to say, if your opponent has a summer or a winter birthday. In December, we're going to call it winter. Sure. Then you're going to choose rock. Okay, ready? No, we're throwing. No, we're throwing. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, go. Excellent. There you go. So we have a winner. So you have to pay what you're saying.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. They were going to say just like that. It's perfect. Okay. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to take 2 minutes. Come on, very tight time. You have all of your blocks. You should have a card that was laid in there too. I need everyone to stand up, and you're going to play against everyone else in the room. But this is what we do. If you win, you get that person's stick. If you lose, then you have to get the stick. If you tie, this is the tricky one. You trade your little paper cards. Okay. Also, I didn't go over this. Yeah. Rock, piece scissors, scissors, piece paper, paper, piece rock.
Oh, you said that pretty quick.
All right. So we're going to take 2 minutes. People at home, feel free to watch, make sure no one's cheating. And we're going to see who ends up with the most sticks.
Okay.
Go.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Do you
oh.
start with your code?
code, what code is like once before?
Okay. Did you like it?
Sure.
Sure, okay.
Does your name start with an A or a K?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, rock. Oh.
Oh, you win. Okay, all right.
I knew that was happening.
Oh, you
Oh, no,
No, she won.
no, but that's like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see you asking.
Still just saying.
Yeah, so then you play somebody else.
Yeah,
All right.
okay,
Ready?
thanks.
Letter from meeting.
Wait. Yep, and then.
Your scissors.
Ready, and.
And then you get.
Trying to funnel me and steal them.
You train.
We didn't.
Now it goes around.
Yeah, you move around. What do you got? Yeah. What's your big
Starts with a letter from A to K.
Ready. Okay. You. Okay. Ready.
Yeah, I did.
Jane, do you need a partner?
Yes. Okay, ready? Stuck up and ready to roll like a train.
Lexi?
Yeah.
Favorite number less than 10?
I told him so well.
Okay, just your.
Wow. Okay. You gonna go first?
So I have mini patch. Yeah, okay, ready? Rock, paper, scissors. I'll get one of yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I get everyone back to your seat?
To your seat.
Back to your seats.
Here we go. That's funny.
Think about this, okay.
All right.
Everyone back to your seats.
Oh,
What's my?
I won all those.
Oh, you did?
No, I clicked.
Here, go. Stack there.
One second. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have 3 or more sticks, hold up your hands. All right, if you have 4 or more sticks, hold up your hands. 5 or more sticks, hold up your hands.
Oh.
6 or more sticks, hold up your hands. 7 or more.
Whoa.
All right, yeah, Miss Robinson and Miss Lott. I would like to say throughout that, there was an awful lot of laughter from that. That was a good one. That's what we're trying to do at Night Explore. We have a really quick easy rule, it's gotta be event. If we're gonna come to your class and we're gonna teach you, it's gotta be good. Science class, there's no reason why it should not be the best class of the day. And when we come in, we make sure that it is. Now, how do we do that? Or the impact we've had on the Blue Water District School Board? In the last 3 years, we have visited your schools 369 times, okay? That's over 15,000 student interactions. And what we're most proud of is 100% of the time when we do our teacher feedback forms, teachers say, yes, we would recommend this to another teacher. That's because when we come in, it has to be the best class of the day. What we're trying to do, it's not so much teaching science appreciation. It's saying, hey, this is something I want to be interested in, so that when we come in and teach a lesson, and then we say, hey, teacher, here's the rest of the unit. Here's your next 2 lessons on this. The kids are excited and they want to take part and they want to continue to learn about what it is that we're doing. Now, these classroom visits, also one other thing. That game is found in the coding lesson binder that we've provided to every one of your schools. It is also available online for free on our website. So it's been downloaded over 750 times. And also got our good friends at GCQ 10 on the CTV News. So yeah, so they, how do we do this? Well, when we go through schools, we do a couple of things. We have, our road shows, so we kind of take over the whole gym and give people a lot of really positive science experiences. We have an electricity unit. We have our virtual coding lessons. You can see them coding really hard there. And then we also have, well, that's another show picture there. But yeah, when we go in, once again, what we try to do with teachers, what we try to do with students. We know that extracurriculars sometimes mean optional. So what we do when we're in the class, we try to get the most like the core stuff. Everything we do is very curriculum based to make sure that everybody can get a great level of science education, that rising tide of developments. So we try to do that. However, in the upper grades, we try to do things a little bit differently, and we try to offer those reach ahead experiences. Maybe some of those experiences that students get in larger centers. So a couple examples of this, we have our world climate simulation, which I'm happy, oh, Jesus. Which I'm happy to report Ms. Johnstone competed with us for that. She came as a judge and she ended up as a participant, so that was good. We did a mission to Mars, which was a March break event. Now this March break event, this was a virtual event where we were super proud of it. From 10 to 11 kids would sign on. There were 18s, one kind of from a whole bunch of schools in Sword. And we thought it'd be like, okay, they're gonna be here 10 to 11, we're gonna sign a little challenge, and then by noon, we'll probably be done. They ended working by 7 a.m. the next day. We were loving with emails at like 4 a.m. to be like, oh, what about this? Which like one of the guys was in my office, like he moonlights for NASA, he's the smartest guy in the world. And these are really, really good questions. And this really shows kids really want to learn. When they get presented with stuff, they really, really want to learn. They're thirsty for it. A great example of that is the team who had the wrestling belt was SPSS. They were the first winners of our science Olympics. Now this is something that, once again, in a city that's not that big of a deal. It's like most universities host them. They've never been done up here before though. So we partnered with the University of Windsor and Georgia College, and we hosted this event. And now, like September, like the third day of school, I got 4 emails like, when are you doing the science Olympics? Those bus science teachers being like, what are the events? We want to start training. And once again, that's what we want to see. And what's really encouraging about that, there was one school at First Peninsula that came down. There was 4 kids on the team and they were excited. They were the only 4 kids in a senior level science. Yeah, which is great. I'm glad they're there. Oh man, what an experience to go look and see. There's 50 other kids just like me. There's 50 other kids who care about science because they ain't seen that before. So like the teacher was really, really emotional and really encouraging about what we were doing and the experiences that we were offering. So it was great. What we do want to focus on too, this is what Keith was talking about, teacher resources. We know that unless we scale our programs, our impact is going to be very minimal. So we do try to provide resources as much as we can, whether that's our coding binder here. We also talked about the Blue Water Singularity Institute this summer. And it's just modeling the behaviors of when we go and teach electricity, or when we go and teach heat in the environment. It's all about getting that momentum started. And we say, okay, let's do something cool here. Let's get the kids really invested. And then let's give the teacher some friendly so that they can go with it and they can really take that ball and move it forward. We do get this comment a lot. I just want to focus on it, saying that science is not my area of expertise. So having a focus lesson from a knowledgeable and enthusiastic teacher was awesome. And that's something that we're really trying to battle in the school because there's so many teachers who say, hey, man, I wish I could do that. And then we're trying to say, yeah, you can do that. Like, we really can. It's just, we get spoiled because teachers say, man, that electricity class was awesome. And I said, yeah, it's the 25th time we did it this month. Like, it should be pretty good right now. And just regular teachers don't have the time to put into that. I teach it more in a month than they would teach in their entire careers. So it's important to equip teachers with resources so that they can provide that level. Because all of the teachers can. It's just, do they have time and do they have the resources to do so? Finally, one thing that we're super excited to tell you guys about, this is a program we're starting in kindergarten, partnering with their energy specialist high skills major. Now, the Blue Arts was trying to get the specialist high skills major in energy before, and it just didn't work because the co-ops are really hard. A lot of energy industry companies, they just can't have a 17-year-old wandering around for performance. So what we're doing at NII Explore, we're taking that entire cohort of students, 25 students, and they're doing their co-op with us. And every week, I'm gonna bring in a different vendor or energy industry partner. And they're gonna say, okay, this is the problem we solve in the energy industry. This is a 17-year-old version of it. So these kids are gonna get intro to evolving, intro to project management, intro to government relations, industrial plumbing, construction. And most of the time in the co-op, sometimes like, you're gonna use the photocopier and they're gonna set. But what we're gonna do is every week, we're gonna keep down the steep end of the learning curve, so that by the end of it, once again, we have developed mastery. There's so many jobs in the world that in high school never heard of. And what we're trying to do is break down those barriers, so that they can, students can really see that future and say, hey, I don't have to go anywhere else for that future. I can have that future right here, which is right happy. Finally, I do really want to say a huge thank you, not just for having me here, but for being such a willing partner. When we got started, it's nice to see what we've done now. We're like, wow, this thing's really taken off. But it only took off like this is because our first few conversations with the large school board, they said, yes, let's do that. So Wendy, I really want to give a shout out to Wendy. She was like my first contact, and you were so willing to bring us in. Anita, who I work with all the time, she's been so welcoming. She has been incredible. I have a whole list of principals that are just welcoming us into schools, and they're just like, whenever we post a new thing, oh, they call it. And it's because there's that willing partnership that this has been such a success. So I do want to thank you particularly, but throughout the Blue Water School. I know that's my time. I know I'm probably going to start keeping. But are there any questions from the floor before I see my time?
Trustee
Thank you. Actually, just a quick comment to tell you, I hear so many wonderful things from schools, from the teachers, from the kids who get to say these things, and even I know your community event, everyone is super excited about. And I also just want to thank you for creating and dispersing that coding resource for teaching, because I know there was so much stress at the back end when the coding was put into the curriculum. So to have someone like, or people, because I'm assuming you didn't write the whole thing yourself, or if you did, that's amazing.
Myself and my team did.
Perfect.
Particularly David Down.
So to your whole team, thank you for that, because that is an incredible gift to our education system. So thank you. And even that little bit we saw tonight, I think about my first year university coding class, and I would have loved something like that before we sat down on computers, because we would have had a better understanding. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, that.
Trustee Coleman?
I would like to echo Trustee Luke's comments on the learning being available to everyone. I think that's a step up so that students can check and follow through in the curriculum activities there on their own. I think that's wonderful. There's a couple of comments I want to make and one question. I found it interesting when I went to the Nuclear Innovation Institute on my computer that my connection was considered unsafe and not private, and thus I had to override the warning. I'm wondering if the other students are getting the same thing when it comes to accessing your website. And then my question is about the workshop on climate change. Can you give me some information about the curriculum outcomes you expected when you are addressing the climate change with the students? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. So right now, we've actually started a brand new program called Heat the Environment, and that's, in the grade 7 environment. So I was checking, is the website working here?
It's fine.
Okay. But yeah, so just to answer the website question first, a couple people in this room that went on the website, and there doesn't seem to be any problems here, so, I think that might just be a tech issue more than anything else. As far as the environment goes, in grade 7, it is talking about how does the atmosphere and what we put in the atmosphere impact what happens. And we're also talking about the particle theory of matter, and just how heat operates. So that's really what the big core of it is in grade 7, how does heat operate, how do molecules and atoms interact with each other, and how does energy pay off. It does also talk about how carbon dioxide and how as we're putting more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, what causes or what effects that can have in our atmosphere as well.
Trustee Long?
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. When I was a teacher 11 years ago, I was clueless on coding, and I'm still clueless, but as a lifelong learner, I guess I should get myself in gear and learn a bit about coding. I'll have to find a youngster to teach me, but thank you for giving our students such a great opportunity to learn that emerging necessity in life, the ability to code. In representing my constituents of South Bruce, when you present anything to do with nuclear, and thinking of some very vocal constituents of mine in South Bruce, one lady whose last surname initial is M, she constantly writes letters to the editor about her concerns about the deep suppository, whatever the nuclear waste
Trustee Long, can
sites in
you
the
just
ground
stick
are.
to your question, please? We don't want to bring anybody's identifying information of anyone into this, just to ask your question.
That's why I used an initial. Anyways, my constituents, many of them have expressed concern publicly and to me that there be offered in all facets and in all forums a balanced approach to the concept of nuclear energy, and particularly the concept of nuclear waste. Likewise, noting you mentioned climate change, noting that there are certainly accredited scientists who observe that there was a massive climate change of near.
Trustee Long, we're talking about nuclear innovation, not about debating.
Yeah.
On the topic of
if I could
nuclear
respond.
innovation,
Yeah.
and on the topic of nuclear innovation, my comments are entirely germane to this topic. It is not anyone else's right to tell me what is germane to me. That is my definition. Anyways, back to not wasting time over this silly argument. Is there a balanced approach related to nuclear technology and nuclear innovation? That there are different views on the topic, particularly with nuclear waste as it pertains to our local Bruce County area. I hope that's a clear enough question.
Yeah, Trustee Long, I actually want to really thank you for that question, because it gets to something really important about an explore. We are not an advocacy group in any way. We stick really closely to the curriculum and what we provide. So we teach about energy sources. So as much as we talk about nuclear energy, we're talking about solar, we're talking about wind, we're talking about natural gas. Now, we would be remiss if we didn't mention nuclear power, because it does provide 60% of Ontario's energy. So when we go into classes, we talk about the whole range of energy sources. And we talk about the pros and the cons of each, because it's really important to kids know that there will be pros and cons to each. Something we tell all the students we talk about, we say, the next time, the first time you get the book, it's going to be about 10 years for most of those kids. The biggest issues on the ballot are going to be energy and the environment. Where are we going to get all the energy we need to charge these electric cars and to electrify our houses? And how can we really protect the environment? So to give those people, give those kids the information to make that informed choice. Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a well-informed electorate in order to create really engaged citizens. So hopefully that answers your question, Trustee Long. Once again, it's not just nuclear energy, it's, we really try to move fast.
It does. Thank you so much.
Trustee Johnstone.
Yes, Philip, it's just to reiterate that, you know, the programs that you offer within our schools and whether, you know, elementary, secondary, clinical is curriculum driven by the province, correct?
Yes, absolutely. So everything we do is really centered around the curriculum. Even this energy co-op that we're doing. Yeah, there's some days that are very, these are heavy, but then there's also days we're visiting with wind farm, we're visiting, you know, solar panels, finishes. We really try to say, hey, you know, the engineering you need to work in the nuclear industry, it's also the engineering you need to work in the wind industry. So these skills are really useful.
Trustee Guyfone, and you have a second question?
I do. Just a follow-up question, again, in terms of objectivity. Given that the proposal was by the federal government to bury the 57K tons of highly radioactive spent nuclear fuel on 500 or 600 hectares in the Great Lakes Basin, I'm just wondering how we would be objective and balanced. Is there a second non-for-profit, registered not-for-profit coming in and doing coming from a different perspective for our students, so our students get a balanced education here when it comes to nuclear?
I think if there was, environmental groups that want to come in and talk about that, you know, I think those are things that our students could be exposed to. However, that's not really my purview. And to be honest, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not that good of a scientist. I'm really gonna talk about science at like in 8th grade level. However, yeah, we really stick to what's happening on the curriculum as far as that. So the Ontario curriculum, especially in the primary grades, doesn't really get into nuclear waste management. It does talk about nuclear waste concerns, but as far as debating different policies, it doesn't quite go into that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Philip. And I just want to emphasize in meeting with CEO at Nuclear Innovation Institute, the first thing that he did explain to me is just their separation from the nuclear industry, and for the fact that this is not a group, they're not Bruce Power. They are not part of that organization. They are separate and they have separate initiatives and separate goals. And NII Explore is about helping to support education. And I can't thank you enough, Philip, for the work that you've been doing the last few years and continue to do. The energy SHSM would not be possible without the cooperation. And I think that's going to bring, it's a wonderful feather in our cap to have there in Cape Garden. And I mean, if we could harness your energy, Philip, I think we'd be able to power a few cities. But I appreciate it and thank you so much for everything you do.
I just want to echo what Superintendent Lefebvre said. I appreciate you commenting about our small school on the Northern Bruce, and I appreciate the efforts that are being made to include those students into all of the opportunities. And I wish all of our kids lived near Kincardine and could take advantage of that if that was their area of interest. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for your energy. I don't feel like I've learned a darn thing about coding, to be honest, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
My hand is raised.
Go ahead, Trustee Long.
Thank you. To our esteemed guests, thanks again. Is it accurate, sir, that near 40% of Ontario's hydro is created by nuclear?
Yes, it is. That would be 40%, actually on a bit of a low day. Most of the time it's about 50% of Ontario's power.
Cool. That's amazing. Thank you.
It was moved by Trustee Lutz and seconded by Trustee Johnstone that the Blue Water District School Board receives the Nuclear Innovation Institute partnership with Blue Water District School Board for information. All in favor? Thank you. That is carried. We have no delegations this evening. There is no report from the Committee of the Whole Board. And that takes us down to the committee of the whole board in camera this evening. And I'd like to invite Vice Chair Johnstone to speak to this report.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to put the motions that we already discussed in camera on the floor. The first one I'll move, and I'll be looking for someone to second it. That the agenda of the January 23rd, 2024 Committee of the Whole Board in camera meeting be deemed to meet the legislative requirements for discussion in camera. I have a second. Thank you very much, Trustee Luke. All in favor? And that is carried. Next, that the Blue Water District School Board ratify the memoranda of settlement with OSSTF Office Professionals and Technicians District 7 for the period September 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2026. Pending an agreement and ratification of the central terms between OSSTF education workers, which represent Office Professionals and Technicians District 7, and the Ontario Public School Boards Association. I'm looking for someone to second that motion. Thank you very much, Trustee Atkinson. All in favor? And that is carried. And thank you very much. That's my report.
Thank you. We're to notice of motion. Are there any new notice of motion this evening? Trustee Pekonen?
I have two. The first one is I move that any duly elected trustee wishing to speak retains at the board meeting, retains the option to use the podium microphone. My second one is, whereas I was appointed as a member of the Blue Water District School Board Textbook Committee, I move the list of all the textbooks used in both JK to 12 classrooms and in Blue Water District School Board school libraries be made available forthwith to textbook committee members. Thank you.
Can you please ensure that your motions are sent to our recording secretary?
That I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other notice of motion this evening? I see none. There are no new appointments. And we have some field trips to approve. Normally we would have had two presentations, or the presentation would have happened at our committee of the whole board. But because it was canceled, we will be approving these field trips tonight, or at
Point
least
of order,
discussing
please. Point of order.
discussing them. And
Point of order, please.
Trustee Long?
Your wording, we have field trips to approve. I'm sure you mean we have field trips to discuss and consider for approval. Would that not be a more appropriate phrasing, Chair Jane?
Yes, it would.
Thank you.
Well, I would like to invite Superintendent of Education LaFave to speak to the first recommendation. I will be looking for a mover and a seconder, and we'll look for a mover and seconder to put this motion on the floor. That the Blue Water District School Board approve Georgian Bay Community School students to participate in the Pursuits Program field trips, Bruce Trail, Cypress, April 30th to May 3rd, 2024. Ontario Recreation Canoeing and Kayaking Association Orca Training, May 8th, 10th, and 23rd, 2024. Beaver Crawl, May 14th to 16th, 2024. Massasauga, May 28th to May 31st, 2024, and Temagami, June 13th to June 24th, 2024. Could I have a mover, please? Trustee Morgan, I see your hand, and a seconder, Trustee Atkinson, and welcome.
All right, so I'm here from Georgian Bay Community School, and I'm presenting a Pursuits programs, which are going to start running in the second semester. Pursuits is in its 18th year at Georgian Bay, which is really exciting. It's become one of the cornerstones of special high schools major. It goes under the category of environment, offering special programs which all students are in the same 4-credit package. Many of the experiences that students received in this program are on the overnight trips that I'm presenting today. The 4 credits attached two of the pursuits are environment and resource management for grade 12, excuse me. Outdoor adventure, leadership, grade 12 and 11 open courses. Creating opportunities through co-op and understanding contemporary First Nation, Métis and Inuit voices. The first trip, which was mentioned, the Bruce Trail Cypress hiking trip, running in April. The Pursuits program will continue to emphasize the importance of exploring our natural local landscape with a 4-day hiking trip in the Bruce Peninsula National Park. And we'll also be focusing on building a flat. Excuse me. The second trip in Beaver Crawl, running in May, is a challenging multi-phase adventure. It'll be the students will be dropped off at the beginning of Beaver Valley and hike, bike, and portage and canoe their way back to GBCS. This field trip allows us to further develop and practice skills while continuing to improve personal fitness levels. The third trip that we are looking for people on is the Massasauga canoe trip, running in May as well. The trip will be the first opportunity to put learning skills into a whole trip and act as the precursor for Tamagami canoe expedition. The fourth trip would be Ontario Recreational Canoeing and Kayaking Association, or known as ORCA. Students will be involved in pre-trip planning and preparations. They will have been instructed on various skills relating to canoeing, canoe tripping, and camping. Students will have learned and demonstrated their skills in a variety of varied settings. The fifth trip is the Tamagami, running in June. The final trip puts skills, fitness group, dynamics, and resilience to the test. The trip serves as a culminating activity for the program. This trip promises to provide an experience for students that have lifelong memories.
Thank you. Great job. Trustees have any questions? Trustee Newts.
Thank you. So first of all, I want to say all these trips sound wonderful, and I know we have a long history with them, and they're, just a long history with them. I do have concern with the ability to challenge out of the swim test. Especially given that there is no longer a minimum age requirement for a bronze medallion. And there is also always a chance for a little bit of whiteout or Photoshop to there's the potential for someone to quote unquote slip through the cracks and claim swimming ability at a level they may not have, especially because I have known people with bronze medallions who do get pretty rusty on their swimming ability. That just I'm concerned about the ability to challenge out, and would appreciate if we just required all students to complete a swim test to go on these sorts of trips. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have, I know we've discussed this one before. I think the age out piece, I think, is we don't have many students who would be under the age of 14 who would be entering this program. So I don't think the age consideration would really matter. But in terms of having the Bronze Cross in order to not take the swim test, that is something that is in with OFIA guidelines, and we follow the OFIA guidelines all the time, because that is the recommendation that we have from OSB, which is our insurer, and it's what school boards use as kind of the framework for safety for students.
I think Trustee Lutz wanted to clarify something.
So just a quick clarification is that bronze medallions used to have a firm age requirement to do them, which they don't anymore. So there was a time when you would have known simply by a student having a bronze medallion how recently they had done it. There is no firm age requirement anymore. So that's what I was trying to say, is that it could be significantly out of date. Like a lot of time could have passed from doing it. And just a second point is that you're saying we follow the guidelines. Guidelines are like a standard. They are a minimum. We are always free to require more. Thank you.
Trustee Morgan, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to say that 13 or 14 years ago, my grandson did this program at GBSS, as it was then. And he felt that he learned a great deal about math, health, using calories for strength, all sorts of things that are not mentioned, but I think are very important to the curriculum. Thank you very much.
Trustee Long, I see your hand is up.
Thank you. I would support Katie's idea that, yes, Ophia may have certain thresholds, certain minimums, but it never hurts to go beyond, to go above and beyond. So I would agree that somebody that has accreditation in something a year ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, may be totally useless at that activity sometime later due to injury or whatever. So I am fully supportive of Katie's idea that we might want to consider making everybody do the swim test or whatever we shall call it. Also, a couple of decades ago, we had children either in Blue Water or Perth County who died on a boat trip. I believe they drowned, and I applaud those that continue to be courageous in promoting canoe trips. Undoubtedly, the threshold, the high jump bar is higher as to what must be proven in terms of a student's adeptness. So to the organizers, to the chaperones, to the principals, the teachers, all involved, the superintendents that propose these trips that involve water activities, I applaud you because the bar is set a whole lot higher because of historical tragedies. And I think it's wonderful. I've always said the best learning happens outside the classroom. Thank you for these wonderful opportunities. Thank you.
So thank you for the clarification, Trustee Long and or Trustee Lutz. I think the intent and what can be inferred from the comment in terms of the bronze medallion certification or higher is that they have a current valid certification. So I would be happy to put in or insert the term valid because that is the expectation or that's what our assumption is. So I can understand how that I just want to validate your concern and say we could put that in there to make sure that people do have a current certification if they're going to be exempt. Because I know as my children have both been lifeguards, I know that certification does have a 2-year expiry. The medallion, the cross, and the NLS all have 2-year certifications, and it's on the form. It says when it expires, so they can show that the proof that it's valid.
Thank you. Trustee Kaikkonen. I think that her computer has frozen. Trustee Johnstone.
I just want to appear with you is that I was a previous lifeguard and instructor and that the certification has to be current and that once if it expires, you have to actually recertify. So it's not like, so that's how it works.
Trustee Lutz.
So just a point of clarification, as I was reading on the Red Cross website today, I think we're confusing multiple different swimming things because once you have a bronze cross or a bronze medallion, or specifically the star or the medallion, because we were talking about the medallion, that is something you earn and does not expire. Your NLS does expire and you do need to recert. So that was where my concern came from, is that there would be a date that you received it, but we do not have a date of how quote unquote old it can be in it. It just says that you have one at some point. And that is my concern, because a medallion is something you earn like a swimming badge, not a certification that expires. So that is where my concern comes from.
So Superintendent LaFave, can we leave it with you to, that we would like it to be a current, certification? Thank you. Trustee Long, did you have a second question?
I do, please. I hear what Katie's saying, and I wish to go a step further. We know that digital glitches happen. We know that there are situations where people claim they have 3 degrees, and when it's discovered they have none. It's possible that somebody that claims they have a bronze medallion has a certificate, whatever the digital proof of that is. But you know, one chance out of I don't know how many, that could be false. I don't see why there is any harm in making everyone do a swim test. It seems a no-brainer to me. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to stick up for our students. I think we have a lot of terrific students, and to make an assumption that they're falsifying their records is also problematic. So I think the point is well taken. We want our students to be safe. We want to know that they're able to swim, and we can leave that with Superintendent LaFave to put that extra qualification of current, or that they know that they have some qualifications.
Point of order. What I said, what someone heard. I did not suggest anyone was falsifying anything. I suggested that there are occasions in our world where digital glitches happen.
Thank you.
Better safe, not sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, the Life Saving Society, I didn't think I'd have to look this up tonight. The Life Saving Society does state that for their certification to be current, it has to be 24 months from the certification date. So, yeah. So now, what we could do is we could say in there that it needs to be 24 months or a current bronze cross, which is by far a much greater standard in terms of what's required in a swim test.
Thank you.
If that would help expedite, I just know that the timing of this report, I will not be within the board's guidelines for approval on these trips in April, if they're not.
So it was moved by Trustee Morgan and seconded by Trustee Atkinson that the Blue Water District School Board approve the Georgian Bay community students to participate in the Pursuits Program field trips, which is the Bruce Trail Cypress, April 30th to May 3rd. Ontario Recreation Canoeing Kayaking Association Orca training May 8th, 10th, and 23rd, 2024. Beaver Crawl, May 14th to 16th, 2024, Massasauga, May 8th to May 21st, 2024, Temagami, June 3rd to 13th to 24. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Okay, sorry, just a clarification. So with the addition of what I had just stated, is that, yes, okay, thank you.
Our second trip is the Blue Water Summer School, Ottawa, Montreal, New York, travel for credit, July 14th to 2021. I'll look for a mover and seconder. Superintendent LaFave is going to speak to this, that the Blue Water District School Board approved that Blue Water Summer School students participate in the Blue Water Summer School, Ottawa, Montreal, New York travel for credit field trip, July 14th to 21st. Could I have a mover, please? Trustee Lutz, a seconder. Trustee Long? No. Trustee McComb?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say this looks like a fantastic trip. I had so many people in my department clamoring to be the one to write it up and to go on the trip. They're very excited about the opportunity. This is an opportunity for students who are coming out of grade 8. And this would be great for especially our FI students who are French immersion students who sometimes they're limited in the number of electives that they're able to take because they're kind of restricted on the courses that they have to take within secondary school. So this would open up an opportunity to get a reach ahead credit. So for a grade 8 student going into grade 9 or grade 9 going into grade 10, you could do your civics and careers. It's 2 weeks asynchronous online with the teacher. So it's like summer school, but it's only 2 weeks. And then you go off for 1 week to Ottawa, Montreal, and New York. And you're on a bus, you're traveling to those 3 locations. You're seeing some wonderful cities. You get to experience, I think, a terrific week of learning. You can see within your package some of the curriculum expectations that they're meeting, certainly aligned with the civics and careers course. And they're able to do that during the summer for 3 weeks. I think it is a great opportunity. It's offered by a similar opportunity has been made available to students in the coterminous board in Bruce Grey Catholic in recent years, and they've been able to send people away. And we've actually had students who've gone and done that. We want to capitalize and offer these opportunities to our students. And we've even had a few students who have already signed up. They can get out of it right now, but they've signed up with Simcoe to do their trip. So I'd really like to get them back into our trip. It's a very similar trip, and we would like them to go with us. We're looking at 50 students, 2 classes. We have 2 classroom teachers that are willing to do this. And then we have a number of volunteers as well, including my learning service administrator, Kim Harvitz, who wants to go on the trip, who's going to be helping out. So we have some excellent chaperones and people who are supervising the trip. It looks like a wonderful opportunity.
Does sound like an excellent opportunity. Trustees have any questions or comments? I see Trustee Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have again, a real problem with the logistics of this trip. We have 50 students out of how many thousands in the board whose parents can afford $2,500 for them to go on this, do the course online and then go on this course. I read through the Ottawa stuff for the kids. I don't believe the House of Commons will be sitting at that time, so they will not be able to see that. I can't imagine that the Supreme Court is sitting, so I don't understand what the mock trial will be about. There are just several things that I find that what we're doing is we're favoring children who can afford this course to get a credit. Thank you.
I saw that Trustee Kikonen had her hand up.
Yes, I do. I'm going to echo what Trustee Morgan has said. I don't know how students are supposed to afford across the board $2,584 per student. And I'm also concerned that where the students are going to come from, 2 classes doesn't really make it across the board, if that's all that we're looking at. But my bigger question is, looking at the expenditures on the very last, I think, well, it's maybe not the last page, second last page, it's got miscellaneous and it's $6,460. What does miscellaneous include? Thank you.
Global insurance protection plan. Okay, the travel insurance miscellaneous, I believe, are the tips and other expenditures for, I know there's tips for the drivers and the tour guides and things like that. Now we've got admission tickets up there. Sure, I don't have. No, I don't have that specific description. All I can think of is I know that was one thing that was. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that.
Did you have a follow-up, trustee Kaikkonen? I think you're on mute.
It looks like the insurance is the same amount, so maybe there's just a duplication there. I'm just thinking if students are going to start giving tips to drivers and tour guides, that maybe we could take that $6,400 off, and that would reduce the price per student and maybe qualify some more students who are not exactly on the elite side and don't have parents working at ridiculous wages on the sunshine list, etc. And therefore, some of the other students who are just regular everyday students under working parents might have an opportunity to go. I'm done. Thank you.
I found that it was disrespectful to say something about this, people on a sunshine list and that was directed to staff at Blue Water. And I would like the trustee to remove that remark and not say that. Thank you.
Point of order, I heard no mention of any staff members here. We all know what the sunshine list is. Thank you.
I'm asking for a ruling on that, Chair.
I'd like a recorded vote.
I would like to respond. I didn't mention staff. That's an assumption. There's a wide range of people with incomes in Bruce in the Blue Water District School Board area. And some parents can afford to send their kids at $2,584 a person, but many cannot. And I think that it's a fair comment that we're looking at how are we going to allow or find ways to facilitate students from lower income households to be able to go on these trips. It's a great trip as far as I'm concerned. Every student should learn where Canada was founded. The civics is a great learning experience. And I think it's a wonderful trip, but I would like to see more students have that opportunity, not just 50 students from 2 classes. Thank you.
Thank you. The point is taken that we'd like a lot of students to go. That is not the first time that the sunshine list comment has come up from you, trustee Kaikkonen, and I think the message is that it's not necessary. Trustee Lutz, did you have a question?
Thank you. So first of all, this sounds like a great trip. If there are openings in a grade 7, can you reach ahead, but that's personal and private and I shouldn't be getting into that. Anyways, just a couple clarification questions that I think we've been over, but I just want to be sure. The first is how many meals per day are included on the trip? Just because I know most teenagers would rather or are always great with preserving their money to eat on the last day of a trip. And I say that from experience, just so we're clear, I'm not pointing any fingers.
So it's breakfast and lunch, or breakfast and dinner are provided. Lunch is at a cost to the student.
Fantastic. So if, they're like some of us, we're spending on shopping, they're decently fed. And the second this question, will there be any help offered to students in obtaining a passport if they are interested in going, as that can be a very complicated process, especially if you live at one of the rural pockets of the borders? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. It's something that we have we have 2 information sessions already tentatively planned, if this is approved, to run. And then we'll probably offer a third as well, and that is a topic that comes up frequently. So we will be instructing people on where to go if they need to get an expedited passport, anything like that. Locations and how to go about filling out the paperwork. Because we don't seem to have that service on Canada office anymore to help us.
Trustee Johnston.
Yes, it just has to do with some clarifications that do with the first part of the trip in Ottawa. And that is the House of Commons and for Senate tour, and the other one had to do with the participation in mock trial at the Supreme Court of Canada. Is that both those events would be offered by the tour guides that are at the legislature. And they're very, very informative. I know that just from taking my family when our kids were young, that it was actually, really great because you actually could go on the floor and go to different places that you couldn't do when the legislature is sitting. Next, in terms of the mock trial is also, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to run it, but if students get to be involved in a mock trial, that's a wonderful, wonderful experience. And it once again would be offered by the staff, which are often university student staff that would offer that opportunity. And I know that one of my children actually was involved in a mock trial in Victoria. So anyway, I think that those are both wonderful, and whether the House is sitting or not, is actually they get an experience because they are sitting. Thank you.
Trustee Ritchie.
Yep, I just have a quick question. I just got to pull up my document. I'm using my phone right now, so I could use my headphones. I just have a quick question about the course for the Allyship and Action with Support Indigenous Nations workshop at the McCord Museum. I'm just wondering if that's going to be an Indigenous person from their territory specifically going to be helping with this. I understand it's allyship, but the thing that concerns me is the describe Indigenous governing system structures, both those created by the Indian Act and those predate and exist, la-di-da, on B2.3 and B2.2. Just in that section there, I'm just concerned about that. And if it's not an Indigenous person, can you please seek somebody to assist that person?
I am not 100% certain it is, but I cannot imagine that it would not. But I could certainly seek clarification on that. I think I'd have to reach out to that particular venue.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Long, did you have a second question?
Yes, as a recently discovered person with Indigenous bloodlines, I would fully support Rochelle's idea. There's no way that we should border on cultural misappropriation by having a non-Indigenous person explain things that are entirely germane only to the Indigenous. So I heartily recommend that Keith thoroughly investigate Rochelle's excellent suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. It was moved by Trustee Lutz and seconded by Trustee McComb that the Blue Water District School Board approve that Blue Water Summer School students participate in the Blue Water Summer School Ottawa, Montreal, New York Travel for Credit field trip July 14th to 21st. All in favor? Trustee McComb, I can't see your hand. I don't know if it's up or down. It's up. And opposed? It is carried. Our next field trip, the Amabel Sobel Community School Alberta Cultural Exchange 2024, June 9th to 15th trip. Again, we'll be looking for a mover and seconder to put this on the floor, that the Blue Water District School Board approve that Amabel Sobel Community School students participate in the field trip Alberta Cultural Exchange from June 9th to 15th. Could I have a mover, please? Trustee Morgan, seconded by Trustee McComb, and welcome Superintendent Penardipson.
Thank you very much. So it's my pleasure to bring this trip forward for your consideration this evening. You will notice hopefully that this is a similar trip to a couple other trips that have been approved already this year with this same format. This is the exchange program, for example, East Ridge Community School. We just talked about it at a previous board meeting with the same provider. So the students in this case are from Animal Ensemble participating in the program. They are able to travel to Alberta and join with a school there and immerse themselves in that community, participate in some activities at the school, and then you'll see in the package they also have the opportunity to do a little bit of travel in Alberta, some sightseeing, some hiking, and also some fun activities. But the advantage of being on these trips is the connections that students make because they get to connect with the students in a different school community, and that it's a very affordable option for students. So thank you for considering this tonight.
Thank you. Do trustees have any questions? Trustee Long.
Yes, thank you, Lauren, for your thorough work on this. I think this Alberta exchange is awesome. To have our kids go to Alberta, to have the Albertans come here, for them to discover common realities and great differences is just fantastic. And as a parent of a child that did an exchange 15 years ago, our families, our extended families, our ex-families too, continue to have friendly relationships decades after that exchange. So fantastic stuff. I am wholly thrilled to support this this Alberta exchange idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Peckonen.
I agree. I think it's great that the kids are going to go to Alberta. I am really happy to see that the hotels will be accommodated, even if the students can't afford them, that there will be financial support provided. I think that's great. I'm a little concerned about all the unknowns when it comes to the expenditures, but I'm sure that Lauren's going to work that out. But I do have a question, and amongst all of these different field trip applications, or whatever we want to call these, there's different expectations for student behavior. Can someone explain why we have all these different expectations for student behavior and why they're not a standard? That's it. Thank you.
I can attempt to respond to that. Without having it in front of me to compare what those differences are, so I'm not quite sure which differences, but we do rely on board code of conduct, policy, procedure, but also school code of conduct. And I'm thinking that in some cases, schools may have unique factors or pieces to their own code of conduct, and that might be why we're seeing some differences. It also may be that the different tour companies or partners that we're working with provide guidance on code of conduct, and when we work with different providers, that might look a little different.
Any other
Thank
questions?
you.
Thank you. Trustee Long.
I would concur with Janice Kay. There should be entirely consistent codes of conduct throughout our schools. The ministry guidelines, the ministry expectations, the curricula are entirely consistent school to school. There are no local options. There should be no differences between code of conduct. Thank you.
I could add, thank you, Superintendent Lefebvre. He was noting, for example, trips also may have different expectations depending on the level of risk. So for example, for students trip that you heard about earlier, the wilderness trip has different risk than another field trip that is not in that wilderness category. So that could be another place where you see a change or a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. It was moved by trustee Lutz, then seconded by trustee McCollum. I'm It's moved by trustee Morgan and seconded by trustee McComb that the Blue Water District School Board approve that Amabel Sauble Community School students participate in the Field Trip Alberta Cultural Exchange 2024 from June 9th to 15th. All in favor? Thank you. That is carried. We are to our student senate report, and I would like to invite student trustee Robbins to present our student senate report tonight.
Right. So students of Blue Water District School Board are hard at work studying for exams and finishing up final projects. To lighten the mood, many schools are hosting spirit days such as Cuddly Day, where students are invited to dress in their warmest, comfiest clothes, and a Jersey Day at Georgia Bay Community School. Many schools are working to get students feeling confident about exams. Georgia Bay Community School Student Council posted study tips for students to utilize. And Saugeen District Senior School is hosting an upcoming study night as well as bringing the therapy dogs. Grade 9s have completed their math EQAO test just recently. And Great Highland Secondary School hosted an interactive wellness fair, which included different mental health resources for students to access and some fun activities to participate in, including karaoke, card games, yoga, and karate. There's a snowman building competition open to 90 students in the Blue Water District School Board. It is being led by students of the grade 12 leadership class at Youngstown District Secondary School. And the most creative snowman builder or builders has a chance to win $30. Youngstown District Secondary School is putting on a dance show titled Way Back Playback, featuring dancers from various school dance classes. And the performance is today, was today at 6 o'clock. And Great Highland Secondary School recently traveled to watch Six the Musical, which was very well received. And many clubs and events, lots of events are being planned for the upcoming second semester, such as flower and Valentine's sales for Valentine's Day, and many clubs are being started, such as Mom Human and OSCPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees have any questions? Trustee Lutz?
Thank you so much for the wonderful report and for bringing so much positive energy. And I just want to wish you all really good luck on your exams and the end of term. And again, I just can't believe the end of term, student trustee Robinson, that you are bringing this much positive energy. Wherever you found that, that is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Trustee Long.
Thank you for a thorough and engaging support. Macy, very wonderful things happening in Blue Water. I just wish trustees were informed about these wonderful things so we could attend them also before, not after the fact. And that's a suggestion for Jamie. Thank you.
I don't see any other questions or comments. Thank you so much for your report.
Thank you.
We are to our staff reports, and I would like to invite Superintendent Lowers to speak to the Geographic Information Systems Grade 7-8 Challenge. So I'll be looking for a mover and seconder to put this on the board. The Blue Water District School Board received the Geographic Information Systems Grade 7 and 8 Challenge Report for information. Trustee Craig, seconder Trustee Lutz, and welcome.
Good evening, thank you. The Blue Water District School Board is committed to providing a quality education for every student. To provide an opportunity for students to apply their learning of geography curriculum through a real-life experience, Blue Water District School Board partners with Bruce and Grey counties, the municipalities of Saugeen Shores and Kincardine, and Bruce Power, compete in the ArcGIS Geographic Story Map competition. GIS stands for Geographic Information System. This software is used to gather, analyze, create, manage, and map data and descriptive information. GIS Day is held on the third Wednesday in November And the ArcGIS Story Map Contest challenges students to use this software to explain local, real-world geographic issues and to present their learning in an interactive and engaging format. And I'd like to introduce to you tonight, Robin Taylor. Robin is our grade 7 and 8 literacy and mathematics coach, and he is going to talk to you about GIS Day in Blue.
So I've been partnering with the GIS steering committee, which is Bruce County, Grey County, Saugeen Shores, King Carbon, and Bruce Power for the last 3 years to help facilitate this program. Like Wendy said, the GIS is a software that can help students with mapping and collecting data. And it's a very powerful resource that lots of levels of government use to track their own assets in their communities. And it's also something that's used by lots of private employers. Careers in GIS are growing, and Ontario Colleges predicts that over the next few years, there'll be significant growth in that sector. So it's a good way to get students exposed to a career path that might not be known to them otherwise. So our board had 12 classes from 7 different schools participating in the contest. The GIS steering committee made numerous changes this year, including inviting teachers to help craft the questions, providing tutorial videos to the classes created by a high school teacher from STSS, Corey Monroe, and classroom visits from GIS experts to help the students unlock the power of the program. These changes to the competition made the year more accessible and relevant for students and made it easier for the teachers to facilitate. Here are the 2 questions that the teachers came up with in the spring session with the steering committee, and both of them were tied directly to the curriculum. The steering committee wanted to make sure that the questions were relevant to the teachers, so the teachers had a say in what those questions were, and the students were allowed to choose which question to answer. One of our classes from SDSS, from Mr. Clovine's class, placed 3rd in the contest. And here's, I'll show you a brief little view of their entry.
To share the, yeah. I'm sure Robin has the tech skills to troubleshoot this.
So the GIS software that the students are using is called the Story Map, and it allows them to kind of create a presentation, much like a PowerPoint presentation, but a lot more interactive. So they can have videos in there, and they can have interactive maps, which is kind of the base of the whole thing. So you see they have a nice video here. They also have scrolling shots here. And then they built this interactive map of locations of forest fires. So they drew the boundaries of the forest fire and added to their own map. They also have access to different layers of maps that Bruce and Grey County would provide for them, but they were also able to create their own maps. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Do trustees have questions? Trustee Lutz.
Thank you so much for sharing this, and I do want to share that over the years, I have had many, many students who have participated in this, tell me excitedly about what they've learned, or what places they've put on their land, or different things through various capacities. So this is a very engaging thing, exciting activity, and our GIS can be a lot of fun and something most children their age are never exposed to. So this is such a wonderful thing. So thank you to everyone involved in getting our students access to the program and doing it in an engaging and exciting way. Thank you.
Trustee Long?
Sounds like a wonderful program, this idea of worst natural disasters in Canadian history and weather and climate. Do we also include localizations such as the tornadoes that I think hit down near Lucknow, 5-6 years ago or whatever that was?
Yes, thank you for the question. This was a project that was entirely based on the students' research, so that particular presentation, they kind of had a more countrywide approach, but there were some classes that had more local data and more local history in their presentations. They just didn't place in the contest.
Trustee Kaikkonen?
I just want to say I'm really impressed with the interdisciplinary approach to this. I was particularly taken by the history part of it when we went back to the 1775 hurricane in Newfoundland that is now obviously named the Hurricane of Independence. And I thought it was really nice how you managed to blend the two. So thank you very much. It was a good presentation.
Trustee Craig?
Very, very interesting. Geography has changed so much since I was in high school, let me tell you. What I've noticed with great interest is that increasingly it deals with issues of a social nature and distribution of resources within society. Does this ArcGIS story map approach enable some students or some schools to, for example, plot where, say, in Moose and Gray counties, there are significant groups of people who are impoverished or of different ethnicity or whatever. Is there a way for students to come to grips with the realities of the lives of some of our people?
I think that the story maps do provide a good way to humanize the geography. I don't think they would have access to that data on the story maps, but the municipal partners and the counties that we work with, they have that data in their GIS system. So it's a really powerful program because they can map every single thing in their community. Like some communities map to their individual trees, so they know where every tree is in their municipality. I know, like in Brockton, we have all of our fire hydrants marked so that they can share that with the local firefighters, so they know that mapping system can help other systems in their municipalities as well.
I just might comment on one sentence that I'd be more excited if they're able to map poverty, where it is, and why it is.
Don't see any other questions. It was moved by trustee Craig and seconded by trustee Lutz that the Blue Water District School Board received the Geographic Information Systems grade 7 and 8 challenge report for information. All in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Our next report is, I'd like to invite Superintendent Penner Lipson. I'll be looking for a mover and seconder that the Blue Water District School Board received the Creating Welcoming and Inclusive Schools report for information. Could I have a mover, please? Trustee Johnstone, seconded by trustee Lutz, and welcome.
Thank you. Just take a moment to just share my screen and then I'll begin. Okay, I think we're all set. So I'm pleased to bring you this report this evening on creating welcoming and inclusive schools in Bluewater. The report that would be in your package references that we have policies and procedures that guide us in this work. For example, safe and accepting schools, equity and inclusive education, and these do provide a foundation and guidance for staff to create those welcoming and inclusive environments. In saying that, the real job of staff is to create these environments using that guidance, but making it come to life in school. So how do you take the frameworks that we have, the policies, the procedures, and the guidance and turn it into something where students truly feel connected, welcome, and included in our schools? So we asked our schools if they would be willing to share some of their thoughts, ideas, and photos of examples of how do we do this in Bluewater day to day on the ground in schools. So I'm going to share some photos with you that hopefully illustrate how we go about this day to day. So the first slide that you see here is a kindness campaign. So one way that schools might try to promote that idea of inclusivity, welcoming environment is to actually teach about kindness, promote kindness, have kindness events, and really celebrate acts of kindness. This is one way that we can help teach, model, and support kindness in our schools. So this is actually from the board's website, see, not a particular school, but it's a campaign that the schools participate in. You've heard about our student forums. One way that we know students feel valued, welcome, and included is that we listen to their student voice. We listen, we hear what they have to say, we incorporate their ideas back at school. How can we make it more welcoming, more inclusive, and more engaging for students? So one way we do this is we collect student voice. This is done at the school level in multiple ways: student council, student surveys, also just conversations, talking to students, getting their feedback. One way as a district we organize that is in student forums. This is an example from Payson Central School where students were learning about affirmations, those that positive self-talk, which helps to build those mentally healthy school environments. And so this was an example of a poster created in a classroom at school. These were some examples shared by a school where a student was moving and going to another school. So one way we help students to know we care about you is this student was actually moving and going to another school, and the students created cards and letters and pictures to let the student know we're going to miss you, we wish you well, and all the best in your next school. We have formal campaigns that you've heard us talk about, likely in some of our reports, that promote caring, welcoming, safe, and inclusive environments. And one of these campaigns is around our bullying awareness and prevention week. We focused on this in November, and there's more working in February as well that are formal awareness campaign weeks in Ontario and Canada. Of course, schools are focusing on positive climate all the time, but these weeks give you a chance to really dive in. This is an example from Great Highlands Secondary School where once a month there are community members that provide Caribbean lunch. available staff and students at the school. And the students get to learn a little bit about Caribbean food, which is linked to culture. And this idea came about from student voice and parent voice in that community because students and parents wanted to share their culture and their traditions with the school. And I will say I was lucky enough to be there on one of those days and I had the lunch and it was delicious. Another way that inclusive welcoming environments are created are things like open houses. So this again is an example from Grey Highlands of a poster advertising an open house. These are shared to community through social media, on the website, but open houses happen across our district for various reasons. To welcome families and students in, to learn about the school, and to witness programming and opportunities that are available to them. Grey Highlands also shared a few other pictures that they wanted to highlight student artwork. So another way that we help to share student voice and help students feel engaged is that we value the work they do. So we display the work, we celebrate the work, and we honor the work. Not just artwork, could be academic curriculum work, it could be writing, pieces of writing essay or a project work, but in this case, it was our work that the school was highlighting. This is also from Grey Highlands again. They shared many photos with me, but they have a very diverse community. And as families move into the community and students join our Grey Highlands community, they place a pin on the map of the world to highlight where they're from. Again, connecting students. They're here in our Blue Water community now, but where are your roots? And look at the diversity that we see on them. Karen had shared that one way they try to be welcoming is when you come in front door, they have welcome, the actual word, in different languages to greet students, families, and members of the community. And they use languages that are represented in their school and will add to this display as other languages are added to the community. This bulletin board, you can see, has some student work and some student pictures. This was a presentation that came to the school that students participated in. But then they created a bulletin board that represented the students and how they engaged in that presentation. And this is a presentation on equity and inclusion. And again, Huron Heights, this is actually a post that they shared on social media around inclusion matters. And they were highlighting some of their programming that supports students with special education needs. And again, this is Huron Heights, and they have programming that kind of is connected to roots of empathy. So you see that we have on the right-hand side of, I think, your screen, a baby and a student. And this is a program that develops empathy. And at Chesley, we have some posters that go in the window, student created again, all are welcome. So that it's facing out and showing to visitors, to other students and parents that we care. At Keppel, students created a kindness mural, and this is all student work done by individual classes and then brought together to create one mural showing community coming together. Another example is creating, just inviting comfortable spaces for students to help them feel that this is a comfortable place to work and learn. And one example, we have many across the district. These are highlights, of course, but one is at Keppel Sarawak, where they have just worked on the library revamp. They've put a lot of time and effort and some fundraising and donations into creating this brand new library space that's just opened in the past few weeks with comfortable furniture and different groupings. You can see high tops and lower seating areas, different kinds of stools, and trying to make it welcoming and inviting for students. We also know that we want to create safe and welcoming spaces for our 2S LGBTQ community. And these again are just some highlights from around the district where we see things like buddy benches, friendship benches, you know, those kinds of things to show this a safe place and a safe space. Cultural events in schools help communities feel welcome, help students feel welcome, and get to showcase and highlight their cultural traditions. And so this is one example from OSD that in Owens Mountain. The other way we create those welcoming safe spaces is we give back. We show that we care about our communities. We get involved in our communities. And again, this is just one example, food drive before the holiday season at Georgia Bay Community School. Again, learning some different traditions and cultural pieces at Hanover Heights. This is this is a display at KTP, which is King Cardin Tiverton Public School, around their forest program. So they have an outdoor program that they'd like to highlight because they have wonderful outdoor space, and they create a nice brochure that they can share with the community. So again, connecting to nature, highlighting different programs that would give different interests to families to show that that we're welcoming. And student artwork at KTPS is also displayed on this screen. You can see many bulletin boards and walls full of student art. And this is a fun interactive bulletin board. Where's Mr. Graham? Mr. Graham is the principal. So instead of where's Waldo, it's where's Mr. Graham. And the students created pictures of themselves, almost like self-portraits, placed it on the bulletin board, and then had an interactive activity to find the principal. So again, just trying to engage and help students feel that they belong. This is a fun activity. I've seen it done at Dundalk Pro as well with the cereal box challenge. Again, connected to food drive, connected to community. But before the food goes off, the students set up almost a little like a domino almost piece, and then somebody gets the honor of pushing that first domino, watching cereal boxes down. Our diverse programming that we offer in Blue Water, you've heard things tonight like NII. This is an example, dual credit opportunities that Superintendent LaFay will have talked to us about. These different programming opportunities, again, hopefully help our students feel valued. They find a place, they find a pathway that suits them, and we offer these diverse opportunities. This is a leadership class at Owen Sound District. And again, it's about giving back and partnering with the local community. Many of our schools participate in staff-student games. So they have some fun together. We're staff and students. This is just an example from Hillcrest, but many of our schools have floor hockey, volleyball, basketball, student versus staff, and they have a lot of fun creating those moments together where we can laugh and play and have some and share some fun. There's an example of coding at Helmut Chatsford. So again, just unique programming opportunities for students to help them feel engaged. Lots of our schools do programs like Reading Buddies, where the older students mentor, work with younger students, help to create a sense of community in the school. That the older students care for the younger students see the older students as mentors. This is an example of OSDSS reaching out to its partner schools. It did a traveling band. The band packed up, went to traveling school to their partner schools and performed to show and showcase, highlight the music program at the secondary school. So again, this is one example of many of our secondary schools across the district highlight their programs for the grade 7 and 8 students to help them feel excited about secondary school and see they have a place there. This is just an example. Again, we across the district, we promote inclusion and inclusive activities. This is an example of a school that installed unlearn posters at the school to continue the conversations that we've heard about for student forums and the work being done in equity inclusion. This is student work, not necessarily artwork this time, but other student work, so the students can see their value and their work displayed on the bulletin board. Again, another student, a school who displayed different welcoming words when you come into the school. And just last week, Greg Highland's students created some bulletin boards. This was student-led. What do we do about the winter blues? And they gave some ideas, support, contact information. But again, if I'm looking for help, where do I go? How do I get help? So the student created. Now, unfortunately, this event did have to get postponed, but this is just an example of that community outreach that happens in school communities to create that welcoming and inclusive environment. There was going to be a right to read evening where Crystal Duff, curriculum lead teacher, was going to be able to speak to parents. We did have to postpone, but it's an example of that kind of outreach. And Ethan's not here, but this is an example of students before the holidays. We're serving students hot chocolate in the morning to just welcome them into school and say good morning. And there was, these are also some examples of some cultural events. There's a drum making workshop, for example. Moga Gudon was at school providing some workshop opportunities. So just some examples of student work. And this is our partners at CMHA, Bruce, a mental health association with the puppet show that you may have heard about previously, Jack and Ralph, but again, focus on being mentally healthy and well and strategies for that so that students know what they can do to help support their own mental health and well-being. And again, student work, lining the walls at PSDS to welcome students back after the holidays. And lastly, and again, this is just one example of that outreach, creating parent information nights. Parent information nights happen in our schools. They're great community connections and help our families feel welcome and connected to their school community. So again, these were just some highlights from across the district. Hopefully you can get a sense that student voice, student work, and that collaboration between the adults and the students and the families help to create those welcoming, inclusive environments in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Trustee Long has his hand up.
Well, a wonderful presentation, extremely thorough. Thank you so much. That must have taken a lot of time out of your very hectic day. So thank you so much. Fantastic things happening. Again, I just would suggest it would be wonderful if trustees knew about these wonderful events before, not after the fact. Let's find a way to do that. Thank you.
Trustee Kokonen.
Thank you, Lorena. That was absolutely wonderful. I know that you are working hard, having worked with you in the past, to provide a school community that is definitely safe, secure, and a welcoming place for all students. I do have a question with Black History Month coming up next month. My question has to do with Dr. Martin Luther King. Now, I believe the schools say that the students shouldn't be using the N-word, and I'm not talking about the slang word. But if they want to address Rosa Parks or Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from Birmingham jail or his I Have a Dream speech, within both of those contexts, and certainly Rosa Parks as well when she accepted the Four Freedoms Award, the N-word is used. So how do we reconcile that difference in how we approach inclusivity with the students who would like to celebrate all the wonderful aspects of Black History Month and those who came before them in terms of civil rights. I'm just wondering if there's a way to reconcile so that the students who do use that N word, not the slang N word, the proper term that is used many times before in our history, how they can not be told that they're going to be disciplined for using that word. So I'm just thinking ahead. Black History Month is February. It's coming up quick and furious here. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to reconcile that. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Superintendent LeFay has come forward with his DEI expertise and his portfolio, so I'm going to turn it to him.
Thanks, Superintendent. That's it. So in terms of the use of, when we say the N word, the N word that I think a number of you are probably thinking about, which ends in R, and or the other abbreviation some students will use that end in the word in the letter A, is not to be used within Blue Water, and we have a procedure about that. It is not to be used in its unabbreviated form. It can only be used in its abbreviated form. So when referencing that word, if you came across that in a text or something, you would say N word. But then in terms of, I believe, you were referencing the term Negro, which is something that can be used, but it is different than the N word, the slang that has extremely negative connotations, and there is a history behind that word that is very offensive, actually. Avian Campbell today, our Human Rights and Equity Advisor, was down talking to grade 6 students with the principal's invitation at Huron Heights, talking about the origins of that word and why it is a word that we do not use. Of course, never using that word though when he's talking about it. I hope that explains a little bit further how it can or cannot be used.
I'm quite versed in the history. I'm just concerned that students have been are concerned themselves and raising this as a concern that when Dr. Martin Luther King used his that word, you used it, so I guess I can use it, Negro, in his letter from Birmingham, I believe it was 17 times, and I Have a Dream, his speech, I believe it was used 34 times. There are students who are concerned that because of the connotations around the negative connotations of the negative use of the slang word, that they're not allowed to use the word Negro at all. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to reconciling this issue for those students, because we are trying to be inclusive here, so that going into Black History Month, they do not feel that their history is negated because of some of our policies or how our policies are interpreted. Thank you, though.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very astute observation. I appreciate that. And I guess I would just say, if you could, it sounds like you're hearing from a number of these students, if you could direct those students to school administrators with their concerns, I think hopefully we could, then it could be addressed there at the school. Because I have not been aware of anyone raising this concern to me, nor of my colleagues.
Thank you. I will.
Trustee Long, I see your hand up again.
There we go. Yes. When I don't know something, I find an expert. According to Merriam-Webster dictionary, I'm sure it's accurate. The meaning of Negro is a person of Black African ancestry. Thank you.
Trustee Craig. I'm sorry.
This whole presentation was very encouraging, both around the policies that pertain to safe and accepting schools and equity and inclusive education, and this whole amazing list of examples of the ways being pursued. very encouraging. I'm conscious that with a lot of things like this that are not hard and fast policies, like you must do this, you must not do that, it's a challenge to implement. And I sometimes find myself wondering to what degree that implementation is resulting in these values that we're expressing, permeating the system, reaching all teachers and reaching all students. And possibly one way of getting at that might be to do a survey of teachers. Put together a few questions that pertain to how successfully we are reaching all the students in the system. How successfully are we fighting against the prejudice and some of the nastiness that comes about when people are not respectful of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Have you thought about doing a survey of all teachers to find out where they're at?
Thanks for the question. School boards have a mandate to actually survey students, families, and staff around school climate. It's called School Climate Survey. We are expected to endeavor to do that every 2 years. Of course, with the pandemic, we had disruption in something like that, but it is something we have done in the past and that we are moving back to. So in a school climate survey, those are, we want to ask students, staff, and families their feelings about being safe and welcomed and included at school.
Absolutely. If I could just briefly, sounds great. Pandemic was in 2020, 2021. This is 24. So could I have some encouragement that such a substantial survey of attitudes, values, and perceptions will take place this year, or if not, soon?
That is our goal. We're working in a draft form currently. So I will be able to bring more information in the future to update you on that.
Thank you. Glad to hear it.
Just a heads. Your turn. Just a heads up for trustees, we will be needing a motion to carry on past 9:30, but we are getting close to the end of our agenda, so we'll see how we make out with that. I just wanted to make a comment that it's wonderful to see all the work that's being done at individual schools and how they work together to build a climate and their own ways to celebrate their own populations and involve their communities. It's lovely to see the variation and that it's grassroots and it comes from the schools and the students. Thank you very much. It was moved by trustee Craig and seconded by trustee Lutz that the Blue Water District School Board received the, oh no, never mind. I'm on the wrong thing.
We accept it. The thing on the table.
The Blue Water District School Board received the Creating Welcoming and Inclusive Schools Report for information. All in favor? Thank you, that's carried. Communications, you received a message from the Prime Minister's office with respect to our notice of motion. It was forwarded to each of you and.
Yes. What did it say? Not much.
Well, it's a letter.
You've received it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. I didn't even call that a response, really.
Trustee Long.
Bravo, Michael. Wonderful motion, whatever you want to call that thing about anti-gambling. Bravo, Michael. That is social justice. That is where education needs to head. Bravo. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Long.
Do we have any announcements regarding public education? Trustee Johnston.
Yes, this is just to the trustees who are attending PES that, our local trustees at the table. We're going to have a group dinner on Thursday night. However, that has been canceled. You did receive an email, actually 2 emails. The first one was from TJ Gertz on the 10th of January to say that the Western Regional meeting was going to happen sometime on the 25th for each region. They did not have a date. And then you did receive something on January 16th, giving you the time. I wasn't aware because I was out of the country. But you did, so that then it would be in conflict of us going out to dinner at the same time. And so we as a board are not meeting, so that you can, if you choose to attend the Western Regional meeting, which you are a part of as a trustee, from 4 to 5. And I just want to remind you, even though it's been sent to your inbox, that, it is in an email from Crystal. Thank you.
4 to 5, does that make it impossible?
6:30 is the next.
Sorry, let me ask the question. Does that mean we can or cannot go to dinner on Thursday night? That's,
Yes, that's what I
I
said.
understand why, given that the meeting was from 4 to 5.
The problem will be, we are expected back for 6:30 at, for Minister Lecce. So the timeline ends up being too tight to get from one thing to the next in order to be back. So that was the decision. Trustee Kaikkonen.
I just wanted to clarify, we only had the one piece of correspondence that's going in our minutes from the Prime Minister's office. That's it? Just checking.
That is correct. Trustee Long.
Sorry, forgot to take it down before. Nothing. Thank you.
Trustee Atkinson.
I just had an announcement, and I'm sure if Ethan were here tonight, he would have spoke to you about this date. And as you know, I wear my heart on my sleeve, so bear with me, okay? On Friday, so that would be January 26th, Spruce Ridge is having a number 17 Stay Strong Day. And Emily, she was diagnosed before the holidays with brain tumor. She now goes to John Diefenbaker, grade 10 student. All her elementary years were at Spruce Ridge. And she's had it operated on. They removed the tumor. But since then, she has been diagnosed with high-grade glioma. Layman's terms, it's a tumor that will reoccur, very hard to treat. And she has the fight of her life to survive. So on Friday, I ask you all to think of Emily. And when Brett has, I won't be able to, I was invited to be at Jersey Day, but I can't be there, but I will be thinking of Emily and her family. And here's the signs. Come on, signs. Don't fail me now, but just please keep Emily and her family in your thoughts. And on a happier note, I had a meeting with the OSNP coordinator, the new person replacing Bev, Haley Hunt, and it was very positive. What was supposed to be a 20-minute visit was an hour and 10 minutes, and I'll let you all assume why that was that long. I do have to give it again. I'm very confident that Haley do us proud in Blue Water. I was under the impression that Haley was from Woodstock. She is from Brockton. She's from the town of Walkerton. She's a hop, skip, and a jump away. So I don't know why they told me she was from Woodstock, but they did. Anyway, she's from Walkerton, and she's a lovely young person. And I have all the faith in Haley moving forward.
We have 1 minute before we need to make a new motion. Trustee Long, do you have your hand up?
Tracy, your realness and your tears, thank you for teaching me how to love students, and thank you for reminding us all, with each other particularly here in this forum, to practice compassion and loving kindness to each other. Thank you, Tracy.
There is a conference coming up tomorrow, under the, are there any out of district meetings, conferences or conventions to share? And a calendar of events has been provided to you for information, trustee Kaikona.
I just want to let Tracy know that we will keep the student in our prayers.
You.
And with that, the Blue Water District School Board adjourn at 9:30 p.m. Could I have a mover, please? Trustee Lutz and trustee Long. And we are adjourned. Safe home, everyone.
Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.
You may